Alright, guys. I just played the first 2 hours of Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village, whatever. I want to record this video really quick. So I don't forget my points later, right? Like, I think this is important. I think this is, like, too complex to put in a tweet or in a series of tweets. I'm too lazy to write it down anyway. But I want to just explain what I think is the problem with modern Resident Evil combat. Um, like, it seems too simple to say that not having a roundhouse kick, not having a contextual melee attack of some kind, like in Resident Evil 4 or 5, that's like what kills it, right? But like you have to think about it this way, right? Like what do you do in a game like Resident Evil 8 or even Resident Evil 7 or even Resident Evil 2, right? Um really the big problem is that you have this extremely narrow field of view and very limited movement, right? Um Even though the controls are so much more modern, your movement is actually really gimped compared to something like Resident Evil 4. Um in Resident Evil 4, Leon is really fast, and can move past enemies pretty efficiently, right? If you try the same thing in Resident Evil 2, especially the remake, they will just grab the shit out of you, right? And they will just flail around and get you immediately. And the space is so cramped that doesn't work, right? So what happens is that you're backed into one corner, and the enemy will slowly come at you. And even if you keep landing perfect headshots every single time, right? I was noticing this really hard in Resident Evil 8 just now. Uh, they do actually react to the headshots. Generally, they react pretty consistently. Even though the headshots I'd say are pretty hard to land. Uh, because the enemies are so erratic with their movement. Um, they still react consistently enough, but they will still move forward. Like, you slow them down, but they will still consistently fucking move forward, right? And because you can move past the enemies, and because doing the headshot doesn't, like, it doesn't give you, like, a method of, meleeing them or something. It doesn't enable a contextual melee attack. You basically have absolutely zero ways to manage space in this game. It's not like the big difference between this and like Resident Evil 4 is in Resident Evil 4 you have all these ways to set up your movement, right? And you had all these reasons to use the environment, You had all these reasons to walk around. In the newer Resident Evil games, that's just not the case at all. You have like getting hit is almost kind of inevitable, right? Like, um, I mean that's in the first person games especially they add the block literally exactly because of that, right? Like because your field of view is way too narrow. There's just nothing you can fucking do. Um, I'd say I mean Resident Evil 3 remake is like way less cramped, so it's pretty easy to like walk around stuff generally. But like um, that's the thing. Like I think those games they just don't really establish a good dichotomy between shooting and moving. Like the way you avoid enemies is so painfully linear. You're always running backward or running in circles or something like that. I mean, you notice this especially with bosses, right? Um, Whereas in Resident Evil 4 or even 5, I felt like um I need to be way more conscious with what order do I shoot the enemies, what kind of melee attacks do I set up, um, like do I wait for the enemies to like gather in one spot and then do something, right? Um, I don't know, just managing space was way more effective and way more necessary in those games, right? And then even like you might say, oh well, the newer Resident Evil games they're supposed to be closer to like classic Resident Evil, but like even in classic Resident Evil, it's not like that, you know? In classic Resident Evil, guess what? Because the camera is fixed and because the movement is like really tight, you know, it's it's not like uh obviously it's not like super flexible movement, right? Like I can't just move in any direction, but like the move feels very precise. I can just walk in Resident Evil 2 original. I can walk past an enemy, hold one button, and then Leon will automatically snap to the enemy, and then I can target them, right? Uh, whereas in Resident Evil fucking 8, even with the quick turn, like running past an enemy and then quick turning and then trying to shoot them, by that point the enemy is already in your face. You know? So it doesn't even feel like those old games. I'm like, I guess like you could say maybe the GameCube Resident Evils, like remake and Zero, those are a lot slower paced. I guess maybe it feels closest to those, but like even then, like even those games you have the auto lock on and like um just generally yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like even if I compare it to those games, like something of the newer games is just not precise enough. Yeah. I mean, I think um yeah, like if you watch RE2 speedruns, uh remake RE2 make. This is very confusing. Like generally what people will do is they will do one headshot and that buys enough time to walk past an enemy, right? And I think I don't know, man, that's kind of lame. Like that's not very enjoyable and you're not using most of what the game is actually offering kind of, you know? Like consistently avoiding enemies in the older games was way more fucking engaging, yeah? Like um because you couldn't just headshot them, right? You could just rely on the aiming to do the work, right? You actually had to wait for the enemies to like be in the right arrangements and then walk past them and stuff. Like, I mean, if you've seen Resident Evil 2 original speedruns, then you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I think that was just way more varied, and then you could do different things with different weapons, and I don't know. So yeah, like I think for Resident Evil 8, the argument is just very null to begin with because it is such like it's way more trying to be like a combat focused game almost. But then again, like it doesn't again it never establishes this relationship like RE4 has, for example. And like even that's the thing, man. Even RE6, right? As much as I don't like that game, um, like at least you can walk past enemies and like then turn around quickly. I mean, with the fucking slide as well, right? And at least with that game, you can kind of manage space. Like in the newer Resident Evil, it's just not fucking possible. I think that really is if you had any kind of grievance with like modern Resident Evil combat or like not even combat but like engagements, enemy engagements, I think that's it. I think just managing space is either not possible or either or like not important, you know? Not it's not it's not something you have any strategic influence on kind of, you know? Like that's the thing like like I said with my earlier example, right? If I run past the enemy and I quick turn and it takes so long that the enemy will already have caught up to me, what the fuck was even the point of that? Yeah, like I might as well just keep backing into my corner and then inevitably get hit. And again, like I said, that's why they have the block in 7 and 8. You know, that plus like uh, just first person generally being less precise and like uh, being less manageable. I don't know. Yeah. That's it. I don't know. This ended up being 10 minutes long. Do I put this on YouTube? Maybe I put this on Patreon. That this was not like on my plan. This was not like on my agenda. But we'll see.